Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking about love, conscious love, how to attract love, how to keep good love. Ooh, it's going to be super amazing. And you know what? I'm going to call it delicious because I'm just in that vibe. So today we have Presley Yarrow on, and she's a conscious love specialist. And she's the creator of the Love Awakening Method. We'll get into that a little bit. So she's been in it for 3 years, and I'm so excited to have her on. I actually met her on Facebook. Kind of a funny story. I just like sent her my podcast and she checked it out and booked it. So I'm really happy to have you on. I love your stuff and I can't wait to share some of this amazing goodness. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the sexy biz babes.
Okay. Hey, sexy biz babes. This is Presley here. Thank you so much, Tia, for having me on. I'm really excited to be here and just chat all about love because that is just my purpose, my passion. It is just what fuels me, and I'm sure what fuels everyone else as well. I'm a conscious love specialist, and like you said, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've been traveling all around the world, working at different retreats, working with hundreds of women across the world. And, it took me to the last place that I worked at in a retreat in the UAE for me to realize that I really want to do this on my own and I want to have my own business. So I
Ooh.
began creating this method and just also really focusing on conscious love, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. So, what is conscious love? I think that's a great way to open it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I feel like everyone has different definitions. This is the beauty
Mhm.
about humans is we define everything so differently. And so for me, conscious love is really, so first off, we have to say that you can't have conscious love without self-love. That's really, really important. Conscious love to me is purposeful, intentional love. And this is for yourself, this is for others. And it's about stepping into this value and worthiness to know who you are, what you deserve, so you can call that into your life. And there's so many elements to this, of course. And, one of these things is working on your traumas and triggers and getting really to the root of that. So when you bring someone into your life, you are completely aware and
Mm,
understand what you have to offer and what you
yeah.
also have to work on.
Yes. I love that so much. So, through, I love that you listened to my past podcast about my breakup. So,
Yes.
I just went through a breakup, and one of the things that I am so thankful about was being able to work on what was holding me back in love. So, at the beginning of the relationship, I honestly wasn't able to say, like, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. And because I felt such strong feelings with him, I pushed myself to grow and work on my abandonment issues. And literally, this was like a mirror triggering, like, I believed it was a twin flame relationship that brought up all my pain. And I
Mm.
had to work on my abandonment issues, my trauma, even like my anger as an Aries, a feisty Aries, and like being in my feminine. And now I feel like I'm ready for more of that conscious love, but I'm so thankful for that past relationship. So, what kind of brought, you to work on that?
Wow. I mean, it's first of all, I love the fact that you have spoken about all of these things, which I feel like we're going to touch on throughout the podcast. But look, I think we all have a personal story. I think a lot of coaches, a lot of individuals in this kind of spiritual transformational realm have gone through stuff. Let me
Yeah.
just say we've gone through shit,
Yes,
lots
all of
of
us.
shit. Okay. And so, it's brought us to teach, to guide to where we are today. So for me, if I go way, way, way back, I was a child who was brought up with teenage parents. And,
Mm,
you know, yes, they cope with the knowledge and information they had, but they were really busy working on their own stuff.
yeah.
And, I saw how my mother and father interacted, and that got ingrained in me for sure, even though I didn't want to admit it at the time, right? It
Yeah.
really did affect me. And so, I saw the choices that my mother made in men. And, I saw like kind of the anger with my father. And what ended up happening was I chose to step into relationships that were exactly like my parents chose.
Yeah.
So I was in this rut of dysfunctional relationship patterns, and they were not fun. They were
Mm-mm.
not healthy, and they were extremely toxic. And I had to go through this really intense transformational journey where I had to break down and then break free from these negative subconscious beliefs that held me back from finding healthy conscious love. So
Yeah.
for me, it's a personal journey as well as a combination of adding my professional experience onto it as well, which brings me to creating this love awakening method.
I love that. So, do you have maybe one event that you can think of that maybe was like, whoa, I need a change?
Well, there is this absolutely incredible book, Tia, called Women Who Love Too Much by Robin
Okay.
Norwood. This book, was so triggering for me.
Mm,
I read every single page I wanted to rip out. Okay.
mhm.
I wanted to like email her and be like, how dare you write this book? And because I was so unbelievably triggered because every story really resonated with me and with the patterns. And I realized that through this book, I was just reliving the same trauma I experienced when I was younger. And
Yeah.
essentially, what we try to do, which is really interesting, of course, this is all subconscious, but we actually try to master the situation or the experience we couldn't when we were younger, which is
Mm,
why we get into and why we choose the same type of person and the same type of relationship. And and then that of course I was like, you need to make this change.
yeah.
Because you've done all this other work, but for some reason you're still attracting the same type of relationship. And why is
Yep.
that? I had to dig a little bit deeper and a little bit
Yes.
deeper.
Yes. Ladies, if you're attracting the same types of guys, you're seeing like a pattern in either the dating or what happens or how it ends, it's not them. It's something within you that you need to change. And that's really triggering. That's really hard.
Oh, you said it. Yeah, you're so right. And it's like, I always say, what's the common denominator? The common denominator is you.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating. And you
Yeah.
may not want to admit it and you may not want to believe it. And that's okay. Because maybe at this point in time, you're not ready to. And that's
Hmm.
fine. As you move, eventually, and my hope is that you will be in that place where you're ready to accept it and to know that you are deserving of
Yeah.
healthy, conscious love.
Yeah. So for me, I started doing like mirror work, shadow work, like all this like self-help, I would say in my young 20s. So like 8-ish years ago. And there
Mm.
was an event. There was an event that I was like, wow, why did I attract this like angry guy into my life? And it was like, they're mirrors.
Mm.
So there was a point that I was like, I mean, I'm not like, I've never been physically abusive. So I had to be like, okay, it's not that, but what is it? And so I had to like, oh, maybe I do react. Like I had a fast reaction and I got like triggered. And so I had to work on that in myself. And like, what is that anger coming up towards men or things like that? What is this like defense mechanism? So it could even be like, it was physically abusive. And so I wasn't like, oh, it's my fault, but there was something in it that I could improve on and heal. Cause I don't ever want to tell people, oh, like if you're in something that's physically, emotionally, whatever abusive, it's not like your fault, but it's something that maybe you could work on that's deep within love, healing, something, a trigger, something that's coming up.
Right. I absolutely understand where you're coming from because, these situations are, very, very difficult, very
Yeah.
touchy, very, there's a lot going on in there, but I also think that the key is to really look at yourself and also look at what you are allowing into your
Mm,
life, right? That
yeah.
is a huge key. And, at this point in time, like I always say to people, when you go through this discovery, you have now said, okay, I recognize that this is a pattern. I recognize that this is a habit and it's not helping me. But guess what? Before you didn't know that. So guess what?
Yeah.
It wasn't your didn't know. But now that you know, which awareness is key, but action is even better. So now you take the proper steps to move through and break free from this habit or pattern.
Yeah. And so many times I just hear women, oh, it's the man, or it's, the partner. It's their fault, it's their fault. But I will say this, like when I was saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, all the guys leave me. All the guys leave me. No, it's them. No, it's them. But I was like, but there's a pattern. And I was like, where am I maybe showing up that they do leave me? And it was because I wasn't being vulnerable. I wasn't being open or honest about what I actually wanted. I was kind of like making it so like there would be a fight or I wouldn't open up at the end. So they would leave me. And yes, they would leave me, but it was like
Right.
me. It was me that was pushing that.
Right. And it's also a part of the ego, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to admit that it's our fault, right?
Yeah.
We really do not. We want to blame it on the external world, everyone else but ourselves, when at the end of the day it always comes back to us. The choices we
Yeah.
make, the decisions we make, the things that we do are a result of, what is happening right now. So,
Yeah.
I think that's just really, really important to do introspection, to come
Mm.
back to yourself, to check in with yourself. And I think that's the beauty of this conscious love concept
Mhm.
because you know who you are now. You know these traumas and triggers. And now my hope is that you are going to meet someone who also knows themselves and that is whole within them. And you can come together through an understanding that each of you have traumas and triggers, that each of you have issues and stuff that you need to deal with, and then you work through it together. And I
Yeah.
think that that's so so powerful because then let's extend that even further. Let's just say the two of you, okay, this is long lasting. This is a thriving relationship. Well, now you're very intentionally very purposeful about what you do. So let's just say you decide, hey, we're going to have children. Then you
Mhm.
also do that with purpose and intention. And guess what this means? This means that you are creating a child out of love. You want to bring it into
Yeah.
the world. You
Mhm.
make decisions that are conscious, that are mindful and are aware. And this is where we can change the world. This is really where we can
Yeah.
change the world. So I just believe that everything really does start from this conscious love, and you can't have conscious love without self love.
Exactly, ladies. It's 100%. You have to learn to love yourself, and it's not just like, "Oh yeah, I do love myself." No, you have to be treating yourself well. You have to be talking to yourself, your thoughts, your actions, treating yourself in a healthy manner, speaking to yourself great in your mind, that kind of thing. So if like your thoughts are constantly like, would you be your best friend with your mind? If not,
Yeah.
that's not self-love.
Right. That's a big one. And I think, there is this typical phrase that you hear often where it's like, if you don't love yourself, you can't find a partner. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on that because you can find a partner at any point in your
Oh
life.
yeah.
However, only meet someone at the depth that you have met yourself.
Yeah.
And if this person hasn't done the shadow work, if this person hasn't done the internal work, most likely you haven't done either. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you can have partners, you can have as many partners as you want, but to the depth of conscious love, of long lasting, of thriving, of healthy love, girl,
Yeah.
you got to do the work.
Yeah. Okay, so what got you into this? Like, I know you said like you had a struggle and you were learning and you were able to attract it, but what got you into wanting to be a specialist and help other people?
Well, it's funny because I find when you are working with clients, we talk about mirrors all the time. I noticed that there was just this common thread and theme of clients coming to me and talking to me about, this self-love and, manifesting a partner and
Mhm.
all of these things. And I realized that I have this personal experience. I
Mhm.
manifested my husband. I do. I have this incredible relationship. Now, that's not to say that there aren't issues because there's always issues
Yes.
in terms of,
Yeah.
like different human beings coming together, but we work on it, we work through it, and we are there because it's forever. And
Mhm.
so I realized that everything that I've done has led me to where I am, which is why I want to teach women to do the same thing because I got to this place where I knew who I was. I loved my life. Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't need a partner. I wanted a
Perfect.
partner. I wanted a partner. And I just wanted this person to accentuate the amazingness that was already going on in my life. So there was no
Mhm.
lack there.
Yeah.
And because there was no lack, I sat there and I created this man, the qualities, the attributes, the personas. I acted as if I had it. I lived it until I became it. And literally 2 months later, after I said, I'm ready for this relationship, after I wrote
Wow.
everything down. So, going through my struggles with the dysfunctional, abusive relationships and, the childhood wounds, to breaking free from those. So, stepping into a place of pure empowerment and knowing that I am ready to call in something very real and healthy was why I decided to do
Yeah.
this, and
Wow.
if this has taken me 3 years, I don't want it to take you 3 years, ladies. Like, I really don't,
Yeah.
I want to help you. So this is why it's like, if we can get you to this place in 12 weeks, which we will, how amazing is that? It's just going to make the process a lot easier. I'm not going to say smoother, because transformation and change is
Yes.
bumpy, right? But it's transformative,
Oh,
it's
yeah. There's
really
always
going
a
to
little bit of
change.
growth pains and, struggles through literally changing
Yes.
your tactics, your triggers, like working on yourself. So true. But oh my gosh. Okay. So I actually, before I met my ex, which, like, even though we're broken up, like, it was meant to be, it was meant to
Right.
come into my life and change my life in so many ways. I've never had a relationship that was so transformational. It was like the wildest transformational experience that I had to make me be a better woman and also get me closer to my purpose and my passion. So
Mm,
I feel like that was really meant to be. And I did write him down, and I wrote
yeah.
down qualities and specifics that I didn't think existed. I didn't believe in a man that was masculine, strong, sexy, tall, like super like my type, and supported me in business. That was my big block at the time.
Mhm.
Was like
Right.
I didn't believe that men actually wanted to support and like be happy about a woman that works on herself and like I grow, he grows, I grow, he grows, like type of thing. And I just didn't believe it existed. But it did. Once I really was like got my mind around it, wrote it down, he literally showed up pretty quickly after at least a few months, just like a
Yeah.
few.
It's really powerful stuff. And I mean, just if we think about your story, right? Like, thinking about this idea that this person doesn't exist, or that I have too, what is it, high expectations? Absolutely not. I don't believe there's such a thing as that, because you were like, I know what I want. I know what I want. I'm not going to settle, and then
Mm-hmm.
it happened. When you had that belief and that notion that this was going to happen, it did. Right. And
Yeah.
that's really, really, really important. And, I think, like you were saying, it's also like looking at, you have to look at the blocks, like what is getting in your way. That is a huge, huge key. But
Yeah.
everything in life happens for a reason. And I know that can be such a cheesy, statement to say, and people
Yeah.
say it often, but like you said, with your story, this relationship allowed you to see what you wanted, what you didn't want. And I always say, had you step into your power, right?
Yeah.
Which has really helped you push your business to another level. Without that, you wouldn't be where you are. So,
Yeah.
yes, of course, we do have to go through these situations in life. We do have to go through these relationships in life to get us where we are. But, if we can shortcut a little bit, why not? Right? Why not have someone help you out with these beliefs and these blocks that are getting in your way, so that, you really can get there, a lot earlier.
Yes. Okay. So I want to hear the story. How did you meet your man? I'd love to hear the juicy details, whatever it is. And
Um,
also, yeah, what did you write down? Like what was the man you wanted to manifest?
oh my gosh. I wish I had my journal, my old journal,
Right?
because I mean, girl, it was like 2 solid pages of just stuff. Uh, okay. Well, I was living in Thailand at the time,
Hmm.
and he was living in Korea. And we met through a mutual friend, right? How crazy is this? Crazy. So I wrote down that I'm ready for a relationship. I was, this was probably, trying to think, this was July 2019. I wrote, no, June 2019. Sorry. I wrote down, I'm ready for a relationship. And I was really living it, embracing it. Because here's the thing, I wrote down all these qualities and attributes, and
Yeah.
I was those as well.
Yes,
Okay.
ladies.
Key.
Ladies.
So important. Like, let's just use something basic, right? If you want someone who really enjoys fitness, who is super fit, but you don't go to the gym, you don't like fitness.
You're
How
overweight.
is
You're not
that?
healthy.
Right. So how is that person going to see you? You're not going to match each other on a vibrational level. So that I would honestly say is a massive, massive key to really bringing in this soulmate or this perfect life partner. Right. So, I was living these traits, these qualities, these attributes myself.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, my friend was like, "Hey, I know a guy. He's like, looking for a woman." And she's like, "I think you guys would be perfect." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, like this is
Ooh.
exciting." So we started talking on Instagram. So July 2019, we started talking on Instagram. Then he was going to come to Thailand in September, but we were like, "No, you know what? This is going so well. Let's just meet up." And so we met up in Vietnam for a vacation in August
Wow.
2019. And then a month later, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And then a couple months later, we got engaged. And then,
Whoa.
yeah, we both moved. So he left Korea, I left Thailand, and we moved to Hawaii together.
Insane.
And then a couple months after that, we got married. So
Wow.
it was incredible. It was a whirlwind. And, I feel like there was just this knowingness with us. There was most certainly a connection in the past. I know this
Yeah.
is getting a little bit hippie hoo-hoo, but
I
really the
agree
past
with
lives. Yeah. So, it was just this incredible, incredible experience. But, I think what I noticed through this man would come to Thailand. He would fly from Korea every 10 days just to be with me. So
Wow.
as women, I find we often make excuses for men. Oh, well, maybe he's this or maybe he's that. And if we really look at it from a biological standpoint, I mean, men are hunters, right?
Yes.
Let's be
We will
honest about that.
try.
They really are. So if they want something, they're going to go after it.
Yeah.
So if he's not going after you, there is a reason, there
Yeah.
really is a reason. So, we got to stop making, and again, we have to look at ourselves. We have to come back to ourselves. So yeah, I just think that this really, really showed me, this experience showed me how important it was to really step into yourself, into your power, value worthiness. And when you also have those qualities and attributes yourself, then you are going to attract someone on that level.
Yes. Sure. Okay. So just to this is homework for everybody.
So much said. Yeah.
This is something that I learned as well, is make a list of what attributes, characteristics you have that you want in a partner. And then I want you to look on the other side, and are you being those characteristics? What are the characteristics that you bring to the table? Look at both of those, and how can you step in more into the characteristics that you want? So even just examples, I'm all about examples, is let's say you want an honest, open, vulnerable partner. Are you being open, honest, and vulnerable? So then I take dating as practice. Everything's practice. Go out there, even if he's not exactly your type or whatever, and practice being vulnerable, practice being open, because it's not all of a sudden going to be, oh, I find the one and I'm perfect. No, you have to go out and practice and meet people. And I don't know, what I kind of want to ask you is, was he your exact type, physically, or was there anything that you're like, oh, I don't know, but you gave it a try? Or was it like that?
Everything.
Okay.
He had everything. So
wow.
Even the smallest thing. So I'm very much an affectionate person. I love affection. To me, that's love, that's closeness. It's just really, really beautiful. It's like the love language, right? And I remember writing in my journal that we hold hands everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And listen to this. This is incredible. We stepped out for the first time out of the villa in Vietnam, and I had some stuff in my hand. And I remember him going, "Presley, what are you doing?" He's like, "Give that to me." And I was like, okay. So first off, this was the most positive male experience I ever had in my entire life. So I was just completely taken back. This man wants to hold my stuff. And then he goes, "You always have to have, an empty hand, because we hold hands everywhere we go." Girl, I stopped and I was like, "Did you read my journal? What the hell? This doesn't make any sense." I was just kind of shocked for a second. I stood there. Obviously, I didn't say anything to him, but I was like, where is this coming from? Who are you? Who sent you? It was just, Yeah, but at first I was very skeptical because I had never had such a
Yeah.
positive experience, and I never had anyone kind of emulate like these things.
Yeah.
And so like I said, with him coming down every 10 days was really just
Wow.
showing me his commitment. And even through this process, Tia, I'll be really honest, I had to sit and talk to myself and do introspection, and my traumas and triggers came out like crazy
Oh,
because
yeah.
they will come out when a good person tries to love you.
Oh, yeah,
They
especially if you're
really
not used to
will.
it. You're like, "Wait, this is
Exactly.
fake." You'll make up all this, like, because we have all these, like, "Oh my gosh, it's going too well." So then we're like,
Right.
"Wait, what's the problem? What's the reason?" But it's usually healing, like you said, or something that we need to work on.
It is healing, and like we have to do that
Yeah.
introspection, because then the more introspection we do, the more we get to know ourselves. And so then it's like it becomes a habit where we just talk to ourselves, a good habit. Where we talk to ourselves, we're like, okay, you know what? I think we're kind of overestimating right now. I think that's a bit dramatic. Let's just pull back. That doesn't really make
Yeah.
much sense, compared to what you've been shown. So yeah, I just think that even like the work itself is always ongoing. Even
Oh, for
when you
sure.
get into this, beautiful, like thriving, healthy relationship, you're still going to have to do the work.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Oh, for sure. You said this earlier. You're taking two different humans, different personalities, different people, different backgrounds, different family, different upbringings, and you're putting them together. So there's going to be different dynamics, different perspectives, and that you have to learn how to meld these two personalities together.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. And that was one
It's
thing that I
a
did
lot.
like with my last relationship is he fully understood that, whereas
Mhm.
some people don't. They're like, well,
Right.
this is what I think is right. And that's a big part, is that we are brought up differently. We also have different mindset and brains and like thoughts that we
Yeah.
have to kind of explain and communicate. Is just so big.
And it's funny because we often look at things as right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, one of the biggest takeaways in my marriage so far is there is no such thing as right and wrong.
Yeah.
So these ideas and these beliefs and these values stemmed from when you were younger, from what you
Yeah.
saw and what you experienced. So I can't tell you that that's wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm saying is not wrong. It's right to both of us. But let's find a way to come to some sort of understanding where I understand where you're coming from, you understand where I'm coming from, and let's find a way to make this work. So let's come, with a compromise. And it does. It takes a lot of work. And at the same time, I love talking. I could sit here and talk to you for hours and
Yeah.
hours and hours. It's great. But when we think about talking, you're talking to someone else that has different beliefs than you, and you have to talk about everything. It's
Yeah.
a lot of talking, and a different kind of talking than with your girlfriends. So
Yeah.
yeah, I almost feel like it's another level and it's another layer
Mm-hmm.
in life.
Ah, so true. Okay, so I know that he was like everything that you're looking for, but I just wanted to touch on this lightly. Is
Mm,
one thing that I hear a lot of women is they have I would love to hear your thoughts, and it's okay if you don't agree with me, is
yeah.
that okay, you want this like bad boy persona, or you want this like super hot guy at the gym, and that's who you're looking at, like the super hot guy, and he's like unavailable. For me, I think that you're like, okay, I want this guy that's this, but sometimes the type of guy that you are looking for isn't the type of good partner. Like, and that's where I think some women get stuck on, is they're like attracting the guy that is like the fuck boy. And so I don't know, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
I just think it really goes back to these subconscious beliefs and what was
Mm.
ingrained in you when you were younger. So I believed that to be loved meant that love was painful and love
Ooh.
was hurt,
Mhm.
right? And that love had to be this passionate, crazy up and down thing, right? Which is
Yeah.
sold to you through the films.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's sold to you through TV, right? And so when you're looking for this fuck boy, when you're looking for this badass guy, why are you doing that? Because I can imagine, and this is just from my experience, is that perhaps there's a part of you who, again, is just trying to master that same situation. This man is
Yep.
unavailable. He's emotionally unavailable. And you want to try and change him. And you think
Mhm.
that your love is going to change him. No, it's you just reliving the same experiences that you had when you were younger. And that's again where it's like, we got to look at these beliefs. What are these beliefs that we have about ourselves? And it also goes back to these like childhood archetypes. I don't know if you've heard of them before, but there's several different childhood archetypes where what happened to you when you were younger, of course, is now formed why and the choices that you make. So you could use something like the caretaker. When you were younger, maybe you had like a domineering parent, and
Mhm.
to be loved, you had to be quiet, or you had to look after everyone else. And so as you get older, you're always trying to take care of everyone, and that's how you're loved. So if you don't take care of someone and losing sight of your
Yeah.
own, like your own self, then, it comes back to love. So then I don't know if this is making sense.
No, it does.
So the idea of, always looking after someone else, letting go of your needs means love. So
Mm.
there's so many different archetypes in that. And I mean, you can really take it and you can use it in different situations and different scenarios and in relationships, right? So that
Yeah.
person who's unavailable, are you just trying to take care of them? Just as an example, are you trying to change them? What is it about this person that you are attracted to? Where
Mhm.
does that come from? So it's like when we look at homework, hey, take all of your past relationships, write down the pros and cons of these relationships, and notice if there is a trend, right?
Yeah.
Are these people emotionally unavailable? Are they very dominant or very masculine, but in, maybe not so positive way,
Mhm.
right? And let's link all these together. So now you can point out the flags, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. So there was so many good things in there. I hope people are taking notes. But when somebody's feeling like they're ready and open, like this is a question I get all the time. Like, where do I meet somebody?
That is a good question. I mean, look, I think that wherever you want to meet them, like,
Yeah.
I really don't like having these definitive answers or telling someone how they should do
Hmm.
things,
Hmm.
because it really depends on who you are as an individual. It depends on what you like. Like, I mean, if you don't like drinking, don't go to a damn bar to meet
Yeah.
someone. If you know what I mean? If you don't enjoy sports, don't go to like, so I think you do whatever you want, but I think
Yeah.
that you just need to come back to yourself, ask yourself what you want, and really just say, I know what I deserve. And if this date or this person does not meet the qualities and attributes that I've written down, I'm not going to continue with it because I love myself. I know what I deserve. So I know that didn't necessarily answer the question per se, but you do what you want to meet someone. You want to go online, go online. You want to go to a bar, go to a bar. That's fine. But you really just need to know what you want and what
Yeah.
you are ready for.
Okay, so I have two questions coming up from that. So, first of all, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, I have noticed that when I'm open, when I'm magnetic, when I'm loving myself and I'm open for a relationship, I literally meet people everywhere. I'm like a
Mm.
magnet because I love myself so much and I'm showing up confidently. I literally meet people everywhere. Yesterday, this guy pulled out of a parking spot, he asked for my number. Like, you can be a magnet to love by loving yourself, working on yourself, being open. And I meet people everywhere. So
Yeah.
people are like, oh, where do I meet people? There's nobody there. Well, that's probably holding you back. Is like, I meet the wrong people, blah, 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 blah. Those are the things that you need to work on and go hit her up because it's preventing you from meeting those people. Why do I meet
Yeah.
people everywhere I go?
Yeah. I mean, that's a belief, right? There's no
Mhm.
one out there. That is a belief. So you really need to look at that belief. You need to dissect it because there are so many people out there. So many people. And like you said, it's this concept of like attracts like, right? Your
Yeah.
vibe attracts your tribe. So when you step into this place of radiating confidence, of this self-love, of this self-acceptance, you
Mhm.
really are going to bring people into your life. And it's
Mhm.
something as simple as like, I'll just use the example of my current situation right now. I just moved to North Carolina. I'm in the Bible Belt, right? It's very, very Southern. And I am this hippie hoo-hoo conscious woman, right? And so, like I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to meet anyone who's hippie
Mm.
hoo-hoo and whatnot, right? And so I just sit there and go, wait. There are people out there. You just have to be you, and then they're going to come. Well, guess what? I've just met incredible people in this really small town, right? And they
Yay.
all do the same things that I do. And I'm like, wow,
Yep.
everyone is out there. It's just,
Yep.
you need to allow yourself to bring that in. It's the manifesting, it's the abundance. Instead of sitting in a place of lack and scarcity, you sit in a place of abundance, of
Mm-hmm.
of bringing this into your life.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to live it until you become it. I think that's one
Yeah.
of like my favorite phrases, is living it until you become it. Step into a space where this partner is there. He's on his way to you. She's on
Ooh.
her way to you, right? And even like, if you want to walk around and act as if that person's right beside you, fill your boots, okay?
Yeah.
But just live in this space and you're going to start attracting that.
Yeah. Okay. So before I forget, I agree with all of this.
I
And
love
I
this
did learn
conversation.
a big takeaway. We'll try and wrap up in the next about 5, but one of the big takeaways is like acting as if you had that space for the person. Like even like I have room for this relationship. I have the love for this relationship. I have space, and walking out like you already have it, as in like it's possible, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm dating. I had like a full like dating queue lined up, and I'm realizing, okay, maybe I need to let some of these people go because I don't see potential with them. I'm all
Mhm.
about practice and kind of going with the flow and being like, okay, like I still enjoy this partner. He's not exactly what I want, but I do believe at where I'm at, I'm practicing.
Mhm.
So, okay, one of the guys that I'm seeing, I want to hear your like coaching right
Okay.
now.
Ooh, I'm
Um,
excited. Okay.
he is doing a lot of the things that I want. Like how I met him, he's fully courting me. Like
Okay.
he's nice, he's like making the time, he's being vulnerable, he's talking about things that he wouldn't normally do, he's being open, he wants a relationship, all these things, and he has a lot of the qualities. Some of the physical qualities isn't usually my type, but I just found, because I was being courted and
Mhm.
we didn't make out really until like the third date, that oh, bad, not good chemistry kissing wise. And I'm a
Okay.
sex coach. Like I help women with communication. And so I don't feel okay just cutting him off. And he's doing all the right things. He's not, I don't know if I see a future, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I'm like, part of me, he literally asked me out last night to see him today.
Mm.
And I'm like, I have to bring it up, but I don't know how. And I want to give him a chance, or at least let him know, but I wouldn't normally. But I'm just like,
Well, I think, from the way that you're describing it, is he seems like a very kind person. So it's almost like you feel like he does deserve some sort of explanation, which I
yeah,
think is a great thing. That's very admirable. And I think
yeah.
that is very, very nice of you. If that's something that you want to do, then absolutely go ahead and do it. I also think that from the way that you were speaking, you're not really into it, from your tone of voice, from, the video, like what I'm seeing right now, you're not really into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I also did, I don't believe that has anything to do with you. Sometimes chemistry just doesn't work. But I will be honest that when you do meet someone, you really will know.
Oh,
You
yeah,
really will know. And
yeah.
we also have to like look at that for a second too, though. Like, are there like all these sparks and all this danger and all this passion? That's when we kind of have to dig a little bit deeper and go, oh, is it my stuff? Do I need to do some work? Or, are you meeting someone and everything just really clicks and it happens so beautifully? And, then this man has all these things, he is courting you and you really, really feel it. Then
Mhm.
that's what you go for.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do want to say something. Okay.
Okay.
My feisty, very frank personality kind of, I just don't, come on. So I've thought of being like, hey, we just don't really have like physical chemistry, but I'm also a sex coach. And I'm like, okay, you kiss like a lizard. Like, I'm not going to say that, obviously. That's like so rude, but there's got to be some like, can I be like, hey, I really enjoyed getting to know you, but I don't know, I'm such a coach, I want to help him.
Right. It's so funny that you say that, right? Like the amount of times I sit in a space and I'm like asking my husband these coaching questions. I'm like, no, Presley, you're not his coach, you're his damn wife. What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, what is going to make you feel authentic? Like authentically
Yeah,
Tia.
yeah.
What
Is
does that mean? And what does that
bringing
look
it
like?
up somehow, because honestly, he's like really opening up. Last night, he's like, yeah, I just feel this way about, like, he's opening up, and I can tell he doesn't normally, and I just don't want to just cut him off. I don't want to ghost him. I feel like I have to tell him something, but I just literally don't know how. And I'm just like, okay, I just don't really this is a touchy subject, like kissing. Like you
Mm,
can't just pretend that doesn't exist. Like that brings you together. You can't really go anywhere from there. And in the past, one
right.
time I was like, hey, can I like give you two types of kisses and you tell me which one you like? This was like 10 plus years ago in high school. And then
Right.
the guy told me, and it was the way I kissed. And I was like, the other way was the way you kiss.
Okay.
But that
So
was me
did that
feisty
work
too.
for you in the past?
Yeah. And that's the nicest way I could possibly think at the moment.
Right. So would you want to implement that into Oh my gosh, that's pretty funny actually.
Right? I
Yeah.
know. That's terrible. I mean, I was very young.
No, it's not terrible. It's actually quite comical to be honest. I love it. But I mean, you know what? I think it's just you sitting in a space where you're authentic and, again, going back to, hey, you want to talk to him. And I think that that's a great thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
But look, you even said before that even the physical aspect wasn't really your type. So there just really isn't that chemistry
Yeah.
there. And that's not good. That's not bad. And in fact, by you telling him early, right? Then he doesn't have to get his hopes up. Right.
Yeah.
And then you don't constantly dread having this conversation. It's almost like ripping the band-aid. No, it is, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
just be really open and honest. And it could simply come down to the chemistry aspect. I like you as a
Yeah.
person, but I just don't think we really vibe together, in a relationship. And
Yeah.
look, you gotta say these things,
Yep.
and this is sometimes why we get
Mm-hmm.
into relationships that we don't want to get into or situations
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to get into because we don't want to step in this power, vocalize the things that we need to vocalize, rip the band-aid off, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, I would say while I'm working to attract that conscious love, is I'm pushing myself to have these uncomfortable conversations
Mm,
as practice. So,
right.
ladies, don't just ghost. If you do want to attract a partner that you love, if you've been on a few dates, if you've made a connection, I would say like share your feelings, don't just ghost, but because I think that attracts ghosting. So, just kind of being authentic, like you said. So, I'm going to have that
Right.
conversation.
Yeah.
And I think I'll just trust my gut and that things will come out the way they need to be. And I think he may ask some follow-up questions and then we can just go from there.
Right. It's just you being
Yeah.
you and being open and honest. And I think that's such a solid point that you made is communication.
Yeah.
If you're attracting, this conscious love and this healthy relationship, that is communication. And you are going to have some seriously uncomfortable conversations,
Yeah.
in this really like deep, long lasting relationship. So you need to be ready. So absolutely. I think that is so spot on to prep yourself for that.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Oh, we're about at the end. So do you have to
Okay.
go?
I'm okay for like another 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So one of the last things is okay, so dating. Like for me, I'm taking it as practice. I'm fully enjoying going on these dates and like getting to know them. But when do you say that maybe you kind of know that they're not the right one? You just let it go right then and there? Or what? I mean, obviously not like mid date, but I'm like,
Right, right.
do you not give them like a chance? I don't know. That's one thing that I've been telling women is that it's good to be open, do
Mhm,
not judge anybody too much at the beginning without like meeting them
mhm.
or getting to know them a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
And I always like to say, like, the definitives, like, this is the way that it should be. I'm not very good with those because I think
Yeah.
everyone also has a different personality. Some people are
Yes.
just very, very upfront and very abrupt. And hey, I just want to say it right now and I want to get it off my chest. And it's like, okay, fill your boots.
Yeah.
Some people are maybe a little bit more introverted. They need a little bit more time. They need to, or
Mm.
someone's a little bit more introspective. And so I think it really depends
Ooh.
on who you are and
Okay.
what works for you. So I think it's just like, what's going to make you feel more authentic, right? And you know, you talk about the communication is key. What are you wanting in your future relationships? And if, you know, you want someone who's very open and honest upfront, you know, very abrupt, then hey, you do that. You say the things that you need to say. You know, I think it's always great to analyze, to look at like, hey, I went out with this person, you know, I've noticed this or I've noticed that. I really like that they do this, you know, and dissect it. I would take some time to do that. I mean, you know, everyone always shows this like perfect image of them at the very beginning,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Always. That's just how it works. But you know, there are certain, you know, I don't want to say cons. I just want to say like that you will not accept, right? If there are things on that list that you absolutely do not accept, if someone is rude to a waiter, as an example, you know, and you don't accept that, then you cut it off. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? After you finish the date, that's it. We're not going to go back to this again because I absolutely will not accept this. You know,
Yeah.
you really got to focus on these as well.
Hmm.
If you don't like smoking and someone smokes, that's it. That's it. Done. Don't
Yeah.
sit here and debate on yourself because of this idea or this notion of wanting to be loved or wanting love. That's when you have to dig a little bit deeper, you know, because then you're accepting these things that, you know, you told yourself you wouldn't accept. So
Yes.
again,
No.
I don't know if this is answering your question, but I just think that there's so much flexibility in that. It depends on who you are. And I really just want you to be authentic to yourself and look at what you would like for someone else to do to you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate and I really respect that you have these maybe not definitive answers because everybody's different. And I
Yeah.
actually really support that because some coaches, they're just like, oh, this is what I did. So you do this, or projecting their own experiences onto their clients. And I actually fully agree with this, like, especially for business. I help women build a business around them, not about around what worked for me because I'm
Yeah.
different. Podcasting is very natural for me. Speaking is very natural for me, but that might not be the way for somebody else. So I help them find what works for them. So I really, really appreciate you saying like it's not
Yeah.
definitive. There's so many
Yeah.
coaches that are like, there's this rule, and I feel like that takes away their authenticity. They start like trying to fit themselves in a box, and then they're like not trusting themselves and uh
Yeah. I mean, and that's what coaching is anyway,
yeah.
right? We're just holding space for this
Mhm.
individual to navigate like this terrain that they're in. And it's a conversation. You
Yeah.
know, they're externally processing and you're just asking them questions, you know, to help them dig a little bit deeper. So yeah, even in my program, even in the method that I've created, you know, I have tasks for these women to do on a weekly basis, but they'll ask me, okay, when and how and what. And I'm like, you know, you just take the time. If you feel like you want to do it every day, do it every day. If you just
Yeah.
want to do it once, that's fine. You know, you want
Yeah.
to record it, you want to write it. Like there's so much flexibility
Mhm.
because this method is helping you cultivate self love, self acceptance, and figuring out who you are.
Yeah.
So, of course, I want you to navigate what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Yes. Ah, I love this type of coaching. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for conscious love and you're struggling in that area, she knows what she's talking about. It's hard to find coaches like this. It is.
Thank
So,
you.
reach out to her. I'll have her links in the bio, but where can they find you? What's your Instagram? Are you hanging out more there or Facebook? Tell all the people.
Oh, Tia, you're amazing. Thank you so much. This has been such an incredible conversation,
I
just
loved
very
it.
easy flowing as well, you know. So you can go to PresleyYarrow.com. I have a bunch of free resources there for you. I actually have 5 keys to conscious love, a couple of meditations, self-love motivation audios as well. And then you can go to my Instagram at Love Thrives with Presley. So
Ooh, love that.
yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And you know, feel free, go in. You can book a breakthrough call with me. You know, we'll be on the phone for 45 minutes. We'll be able to look at your subconscious beliefs, really what's holding you back, and kind of come up with a game plan on what you can do moving forward.
Yes, go reach out. I promise you, having a guide, having a mentor, a specialist, it really does help. A lot of the stuff that I had to break through these past couple years in that relationship, I did get help and I
Yeah.
needed it. I
Yeah.
needed that second set of eyes, brain, intuition because I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the big picture when you're inside the frame. So I fully believe in getting the right help and guidance with somebody that doesn't just tell you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It's so spot on. You're right.
Oh, well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thanks, hun.